got no idea who this person is, but for whatever reason, I'm blocked. I mean, really? All the pro Caitlin Clark content I make, and I'm blocked. Oh, I hurt somebody's widow feelings. Anyway, too bad. So, this went up on the Instagram from Caitlin Clark, and it's Caitlin Clark signing a lot of autographs for a...
Caitlin Clark dropped a message on January 19th, 2025 that hit harder than it looked at first glance. Alongside a montage of her signing autographs for massive crowds of Fever supporters, she wrote, "It's time to get back to this." And that line wasn't casual, it was strategic. This wasn't just off-season nostalgia, it was a direct signal aimed at ongoing Wnba collective bargaining talks that have stalled for months without progress. While others flood timelines with grievances and demands, Clark flipped the spotlight back where it counts, on the audience, the competition, and the foundation of the sport itself. No drama, no noise, just a sharp reminder of what drives the league's value and why the conversation matters in the first place.
The president has come out, made some comments about her being on that telecast between the Knicks and the Lakers, an NBA telecast. By the way, 4.5 million people tuned in. It was a record showing, and of course, Caitlin Clark was on that pregame. I would love to see the statistics of how many people stuck around and actually watched the game.
NBC's Basketball Night in America debuted on January 12th with 4.5 million viewers, marking the network's strongest NBA audience in years, and right at the center of that spotlight stood Caitlin Clark alongside two established NBA icons. She didn't appear in a trimmed, taped clip. They brought her in live, shoulder to shoulder with Rick Fox and Reggie Miller, and she controlled the pre-game conversation from start to finish. Matching their presence and pace, she delivered sharp, confident analysis that NBC Sports president Rick Cordella said met every target the network had set. This wasn't a promotional cameo or a quick feature, it was a serious on-air test of her long-term broadcast potential, and she cleared it convincingly.
So, right here, there is still no collective bargaining agreement, as the league and the Players Association remain in a stalemate. And with each passing day, the possibility of the season being delayed or even being put in jeopardy altogether becomes more real. This is not something Clark wants, and her recent public statements have served to apply some subtle pressure to get the deal done. When Clark made her NBA on NBC broadcasting debut Sunday, she once again emphasized the importance of the moment for the WNBA, and that's not what I'm referring to. But yeah, the other night, she was asked about CBA, and it was a statement that was still very, we've got to play some ball.
During that same NBC appearance, her response to the CBA question was just as controlled and purposeful. She said she's confident an agreement will get done because this moment exists due to the quality of play on the court, and the priority is to keep competing and keep the game moving forward. Notice the discipline in that answer. No attacks, no frustration directed at the league, no focus on personal entitlement, just a steady emphasis on performance and progress. She kept the spotlight on the sport and its momentum instead of the conflict around it. That's composure under pressure, that's big-picture awareness, and that's the kind of steady leadership voice the WNBA Players Association could benefit from right now, even if it isn't fully embracing it.
She is. We know Caitlin Clark from basically everything she has said, and I've said, man, boy, if it was me, she would be the president of the Players Union. I wouldn't think twice about it. Because you could tell, yeah, she wants a fair deal, but she also wants to play basketball. And she has handled this whole thing with an immense amount of class that we haven't seen out of hardly anybody involving these talks. And you can tell she gets it. She realizes none of this matters if they don't end up playing basketball.
What separates Clark's approach in these CBA negotiations is the level of discipline and professionalism she's maintained throughout the process. One analyst described it as rare composure compared to nearly everyone else involved in the talks. While the Players Association has shared vague messages about respect and fair treatment, Clark has repeatedly redirected the focus to the game itself, the supporters, and the on-court product. She keeps the message grounded in performance and continuity rather than rhetoric. Her stance reflects a core reality that many decision-makers seem to overlook. The financial side only works if the season is played and the competition continues. Revenue discussions depend on active games, and salary growth depends on a strong, visible product that keeps the league moving forward.
So, this was put up on social media right here. and I've got no idea who this person is, but for whatever reason, I'm blocked. I mean, really? All the pro Caitlin Clark content I make, and I'm blocked. Oh, I hurt somebody's widow feelings. Anyway, too bad. So, this went up on the Instagram from Caitlin Clark, and it's Caitlin Clark signing a lot of autographs for a hell of a lot of fevered fans to see her. And she said, it's time to get back to a lot of this.
That Instagram post wasn't accidental timing. It landed right in the middle of a pivotal stretch of CBA negotiations when reports said discussions had slowed over revenue split percentages and opt-out terms. The Players Association was pushing for the ability to reopen the deal after 2 years if specific revenue goals weren't reached, while league officials resisted, warning that constant uncertainty could weaken long-term broadcast and sponsor agreements. As both sides held firm, Clark shared a video of herself engaging with fans and added the line, "It's time to get back to a lot of this." The message behind it was clear and forceful. Move past the gridlock, refocus on the game, and create the moments that drive real value instead of circling around projected numbers.
This league, and pay attention to it, her attitude is exactly why people have chosen to tune in. So, according to NBC Sports President Rick Cardella, Clark's performance checked every box the network hoped for. The appearance was not treated as a one-off moment, but rather a glimpse into what her future in sports media could look like. She's going to be a massive star. While Clark remains focused on her playing,
NBC's coverage highlighted a surge that's impossible to ignore, and her point about momentum is backed by the numbers. The 2024 WNBA season delivered a 48% jump in attendance over the previous year, while average national TV audiences climbed from about 440,000 to more than 1.2 million viewers per game. Indiana Fever playoff matchups alone pulled in roughly 1.7 million viewers, figures that would have sounded unrealistic just a few seasons ago. Major brands including State Farm, Nike, and Gatorade boosted their league investments by a combined $340 million, showing strong commercial confidence. This isn't projected growth, it's active expansion powered by real audiences and real dollars, and every day without a finalized CBA deal puts that hard-earned surge at risk of slowing down.
Player comps, by the way, and Reggie Miller, I guess I could have done that video, but I didn't. Who was it? Peyton Pritchard? Are you high? Are you high, Reggie? Anyway, okay. I mean, it's Steph Curry, Luka, Larry Bird. I mean, what in the world? Now, you played around Larry, for crying out loud. Are you blind? Anyway, it's kind of remarkable, but she was really good. And she held her own.
Set Clark's approach beside the tone coming from Players Association leadership, and the contrast is sharp. Union President Nneka Ogwumike has repeatedly emphasized that players know their value and won't settle below it, while Breanna Stewart said in December that players were ready to go to any length for a fair agreement, and Union VP Elizabeth Williams stressed in January that the group stands firm and won't be rushed by artificial timelines. The messaging is forceful and unified, but it rarely addresses the league's still developing financial base or the simple fact that most supporters focus on the games, not the labor debate. Clark's strategy cuts differently. She applies steady pressure without creating division, backs fellow players without weakening their leverage, and keeps the spotlight on competition as the engine behind everything else. Her fan-focused post pulled 2.3 million likes in 2 days, and her NBC segment drove more social engagement than any other NBA studio feature that weekend. When she calls for a return to the court, millions instantly align. That's reach, that's influence, that's momentum that can move talks forward instead of locking sides in place. But there's a hard reality the Players Association still hasn't fully confronted. Caitlin Clark's priorities don't fully match those of the veteran players steering these negotiations. She's on a rookie contract worth $76,000 this season, but her endorsements with Nike, State Farm, Gatorade, and Wilson bring in roughly $28 million annually, meaning her financial security isn't tied to WNBA salaries. She could play for free and still rank among the highest-earning female athletes globally. The veterans pushing hardest for top pay are in their late 20s and early 30s, rely on their WNBA income, and have leverage only because they're willing to risk a season. Clark doesn't share that same flexibility, and she shouldn't. At 22, fresh off a rookie year averaging 19.2 points and 8.4 assists while leading the Fever to their first playoff berth since 2016, she has perhaps a decade of elite play ahead, and every lost season is unrecoverable. She's focused on playing, improving, chasing championships, and sustaining the momentum that's making her the face of women's basketball. That's not selfish, it's strategic, but it naturally clashes with union leadership prepared to sacrifice 2025 for a better deal. You can see that careful balance in her messaging. She expresses confidence that an agreement will be reached without ever undermining her commitment to the game. She keeps the focus on the game itself, highlighting the quality of play and the importance of continuing to compete, without ever attacking the Players Association or repeating their hardline messaging about doing whatever it takes or not accepting less than we deserve. Clark walks a razor-thin line, supporting teammates while making it unmistakably clear that her priority is playing basketball, not driving labor disputes. NBC has recognized that potential. Rick Cordella didn't just praise her performance, he framed it as a preview of her future in sports media, signaling the network's intent to secure a long-term broadcasting relationship. She's already slated for another on-air appearance in March, and if the WNBA season is delayed or cancelled, don't be surprised if NBC expands her role to cover NBA games throughout the spring and summer. With her basketball IQ, communication skills, and massive audience appeal, her value extends far beyond the court, giving her unique leverage in the CBA talks. The Players Association needs Clark more than she needs them. If games are missed, veterans risk losing their primary income and shortening careers, while Clark gains more exposure, broadcasting experience, and endorsement opportunities, all without relying on a rushed resolution. She clearly wants a resolution, but she isn't desperate, and that subtle distinction reshapes how much pressure she's willing to apply and in which direction. That brings us back to her Instagram post. It's time to get back to a lot of this. Not, it's time to demand what we deserve, or the league must respect our worth. The focus is on connecting with fans, playing in packed arenas, and returning to the basketball that created these opportunities in the first place. It's a message aimed at everyone: the league office, union leadership, and most importantly, the fans watching the CBA drama and wondering if there will even be a season. The league office has to love it. She's advancing their argument without taking a side. Every week negotiations drag on erodes the momentum built in 2024. Sponsors grow cautious, broadcasters plan contingencies, fans drift away. Each day without a deal costs money and attention. By posting about returning to basketball, Clark applies public pressure on the Players Association to compromise without the league needing to intervene. And the union can't push back without seeming petty. What could they even argue? That she's wrong to want to play. That fans shouldn't matter. That momentum is undeniable, and the union can't challenge her stance without contradicting their own stated goal of growing the league and boosting revenue for players. If expanding the WNBA is the objective, then Clark's call to get back to basketball and reconnect with fans is fully in line with that mission. Her position only clashes with the union if their real priority is winning a labor dispute over playing games, a message that would look terrible publicly, putting them in a tight spot. She's exerted pressure without offering a clear target for pushback, supporting teammates while making her own priorities unmistakable. At the same time, she's reminded millions of fans why the WNBA matters. It's about elite athletes competing, breathtaking performances, and personal connections through autographs and community engagement, not labor fights or revenue splits. That's what drives value, that's what generates revenue, and that's what's jeopardized by prolonged negotiations. The question now is whether her influence can move the needle. Will the Players Association feel enough pressure from their most marketable star to moderate demands? Will the league office feel reinforced, knowing she's highlighting the importance of playing games? Or will both sides dig in while the one player capable of bridging the gap watches from the sidelines, frustrated that her prime years are being consumed by disputes she didn't create and can't control? Clark turns 23 soon, with maybe a decade of elite basketball ahead if she stays healthy. Every season, every developmental leap, every championship opportunity counts. She cannot afford to sacrifice a year over collective bargaining percentages. The real question is whether anyone in these negotiations values her timeline enough to get a deal done. So, what happens next? Does her influence tip the scales, or does the 2025 season get delayed while arguments over percentages drag on? Drop your prediction in the comments and hit subscribe for more WNBA coverage. All watched.